Hi everybody! Welcome to another live drawing with me, Chris. As you can see, we're going to be drawing a penguin today. How fun. It's snowing here. Well, actually it just finished snowing, but nonetheless, we'll be drawing a penguin. Most people think penguins are just black and white. I beg to differ. They're actually quite colorful. Their black feathers often have some iridescence, so we'll be working on coloring some blue in there. We'll be doing these sort of fluffy, colorful feathers. Now, yes, some penguins are black and white, sure. But this one that we're doing today is going to have some color, just to keep things fun. You know I love color. So take a look and drink in all these fancy details that we'll be getting to today. These big old flippers. Penguins are wonderful swimmers, so we got to make sure these are nice and powerful. Big penguin shape, cool little beak, and awesome colors. Take a look. I'll be back in a few seconds. Okay, let's get ready to begin. I am going to turn the page and get myself to a nice clean sheet of paper. There we go. Let's clip this down here. There we go. And as usual, I have a sheet of paper behind the paper I'm working on to prevent any markers bleeding through onto the next page, so we don't waste any of our sketchbooks or ruin a table or any of those things. Okay, so just like we always do, we're going to find the middle of the page by tracking inward from the sides and from the top. All right, so here we got the middle. We're going to do this again towards the top. Just track towards until we find the middle there. And guess what? We're going to do it one more time. Yeah, we're a little bit close to the top of the page, but we're in the middle and we're going to make one simple line. There's not too much drawing going on up here, but I want to make sure we start in the right place so we can build our penguin downward, okay? So at that spot, we're going to do an arced line. It's going to go in this direction, okay? And it's going to have a little bit of hook on the top side, all right? Just like this. Just like that. All right, now from here, we're going to draw two little lines on the top of it. This is just going to be the top of the beak and the bottom of the beak, but we're just going to make the lines that are sort of going to hint at where it ends, okay? We're not going to draw the whole beak just yet. So, first one on the bottom, just outside of the dot, just come in like that. And on the top, do the same, but come up off it a little bit. Whoop. Kind of looks like an arrow, something like that. All right, and then we're going to draw the head. All right, we're just going to come up. There's a little bit of a dip in the middle, and then come down, and it has a little bit of a roundness to the outside. All right, we're just going to come right up off that little beak, up, little dip, down and around. And the same thing over here to round out the other side of our penguin's face. Imagine that this line continues down. It's going to connect to the bottom of the little beak, the line of the bottom of the beak we made. And it's going to kind of be roundish or an arced line, similar to this, but not quite as big. Just like this. There we go. Now before we move away from the head here, we're going to come down and do the flippers and the body and the feet. Before we get too far away from that, before we get too far away from the head, I just want to draw the eye in here. Now the eye is going to look like a capital D, all right, except the outside of the D is going to have a little bit of a curve to it. Maybe watch how I draw the eye and then you can draw yours. I'm going to draw it a little bit higher than where the bottom of his mouth is ending, all right? And just like a capital D, just like that. And then instead of having a straight line here, I'm going to have a little bit of a curved line there, okay? And then one last thing on the outside of the top of the eye, or the top of the D, just make a little line going upwards. All right, penguin head. All right, now we're going to be drawing down over the shoulders and then our flippers. And we'll do that on both sides. That doesn't have to be perfectly symmetrical, meaning the same on the right is the same on the left, but they're going to be similar in order to make sure that our guy looks balanced, okay? So over here, we're going to make a little bit of a shoulder hump coming out, a hump, sort of a curved or an arced line here, kind of short. All right, we're going to come down a little bit on the next one. It's going to be another curved line with a little bit of a dip at the end. All right, and then here comes the flipper, and it's going to come out and it's going to kind of sweep out into a big arc, okay? Come down and then sweep out. All right, we'll do the same thing over here. Let's make a bump, and then a little bit of a shoulder, a little bit of a bump on that one too. And then here comes the flipper. It's going to come down and it's going to sweep out. Just like that. Okay. And before we finish up the flipper from the bottom, we're going to draw in the body. That way it will give us something to connect the flipper to, okay? All right, so the first line we're going to make, it's going to be directly under the beak, all right? And it's going to look like an equal sign. It's going to be a couple little lines, and this is just going to give us a little bit of a reference point to draw some other features. Okay, the next line is going to start just under there, and it's going to be, if you remember our S curve, it's going to be, this one's sorry, we have a dog emergency. Must be somebody walking by. Anyway, as I was saying, there's going to be an S curve here, and it's just going to come down and up, and we're going to end it right about there. All right. And we'll do something similar over here, except it's not going to be an S curve. It's going to be the top of an S curve, and it's just going to end. It's going to connect right to the top of the wing there. Okay. All right, let's draw this penguin's body. He's going to connect to the top of this S curve. He's going to come down, almost straight down, maybe a little bit outwards. Big bump, and then come back in, and we'll stop right about here. All right. Going down and out. Coming back in, stop right about there. Do the same thing over here, except it's not going to connect. Let's go right about here. I'm imagining it's about the same equidistant, or the same distance from the top of the wing here. So I'm just going to kind of mimic this whole shape here without connecting. There we go. Cool, huh? Before we move on to finishing off the flippers, I just want to add one little line right there. Just on that side. Can't wait to start coloring this penguin. We're gonna have so much fun, you guys. I'm telling you, I have a couple tricks up my sleeve. You're gonna like this. All right. Hope everybody's all caught up. All right. The first thing we're gonna do is the top of the flipper. Let's say about halfway down that line we just made. We're going to make an arcing line that connects to the top, okay? Pretty easy line here, but maybe watch me and then do yours. Okay? And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Again, an arcing line, starting about same place. We're going to come out here and connect to the top of the flipper. Just like that. All right. So, to finish off the flippers, this is going to be a little bit of a trick here. So, bear with me. I'm going to try to explain it best I can. Essentially, it's going to start up close. It's going to come way outwards. And it's going to hook back up towards this line. Okay? It's just a little visual trick that we're going to create here. So, on these, or let's say on this one, they're going to be a little bit different. So, on this one, why don't you watch me and then do yours. Start up close. All right. Pretty much going to come down from there. Go in and then kind of hook back up towards there, okay? Do the same thing on this side, except we're going to see a little bit more of a feature behind here. So there's going to be a bump right at the bottom of the flipper here before we head down and hook back around. Maybe again, watch me and then do yours. There we go. He's got some big flippers. I bet this guy can swim real fast. Okay, so the feet are also a little tricky, but I believe in you. They're not anything that I don't believe that we can all tackle. We're going to kind of try and do what we do on the left to the right just to keep it moving quickly, okay? I don't want to get caught up on one foot and then have to try to match the whole foot. So we're going to go step by step, left to right. So we're going to make a bump on the outside shape here. We'll do it over here. And then we're going to do that again. It's going to be a little bit bigger. Okay. Now, here's a little bit of a tricky part, too. We're going to draw a series of triangles. 3 over here and 3 over here. They're going to be quite small. So you might need to use your imagination or look closely at what I'm doing. I'm going to draw 3 triangles on this side, but they're going to be pointing this way. Just like that, okay? I'm going to draw 3 of those. And I'm going to do 3 over here as well, except they're going to be pointing almost straight down. I know that looks a little weird because they are so sharp, but we're going to kind of fill in that area with some shading and hide that. And then we'll make sure that that looks good, I promise. All right, next thing we're going to do is we're going to kind of draw, I guess, where the belly sort of sits on the feet. And it is, oh boy, it's a big curvy line. It's going to come dip, up, down, up. Maybe check mine out because it's going to be flat, but it does have a little bit of a curve to it, okay? Looks just like this. Down, up, okay? We're almost done with our outline, and then we can start coloring. Just going to make a few more lines down here to kind of cap off or to finish the shape of the feet. First one's going to be an S curve that comes down from the top of this sort of inside claw or nail, I guess. An S curve that connects to the outside of the foot. And on this side, we're just going to have a line come down. And then we're going to have a little bit of an arc connecting the whole thing. And we're going to shade in back there, so don't worry about if it looks a little bit weird now, we're going to shade this in. Just want to make sure I got enough reference lines and enough, places that I can reference to make sure I got color in the right places. That's all. Get some of the anatomical features in there as well. Just a few more lines to guide our coloring. We're going to do a couple lines sort of coming in here off the chest. Just little arc lines. All right, they don't have to be completely symmetrical or anything like that. Again, it's just to help us see where colors are going to transition. We'll put one here. All right, and maybe a smaller one there. One more thing I want to do to the beak. Just want to make a little bit of a V right here. Again, that's going to help me know where to color in that beak without losing where I am, okay? One final check. Everything looks good to me. I think before we move on, we'll just draw a circle up in the top right of the eye and color in around it black. There we go. And guess what? It's time to move on to color. Yee-hoo! Capping my marker so it doesn't dry out. Alright, so I have decided to do a black penguin. He has some orange features. I'm going to do some orange around the eye so that eye really pops forward. And then we're going to use some blue to make the black feathers look like maybe there's some sunlight reflecting off them. And then we're going to use a little bit of color in here, but mostly black and gray to make little feathers. Very simple step. We're certainly not going to be drawing every feather here, I promise you that. And we're going to shade in down here to make sure we hide some of the weird sharp angles here on the claws. But like I said, we'll fix that all up nice. The first thing I want to do is bring in some of the color. If I bring in the black first, I'm going to end up smudging black all over the place. The black I like to save for the end because it oftentimes, when you try to color back over black, it drags the black all over the page and turns into a mess. So I'm going to start with the colors. I'm going to start with the feature colors. The orange for this sort of feathering that's going to be up here, the orange and gold for the beak, and we're going to do a reddish stripe coming up around the eye, okay? So those are what I'm going to start with. I'm going to grab a middle orange, pretty much regular orange, and just start to plan out where some of this color is going to be. I'm going to lightly shade in the beak, lightly. All right. I'm going to lightly shade in here and under this little area. Lightly. And also right down the middle, just like that. And then, you know what? I'm going to do the eye red. So let's stick with the orange for now. I'm going to do the eye in a separate step. This is the same orange. I'm going to push down a little bit harder. Get a little bit more value out of this. All right, same thing on the bottom of the beak. You can leave the top of the beak light. We'll come back in with a couple other colors to make sure that pops up good, okay? All righty. Now I'm going to switch to, in fact, that gold I was just talking about, a little bit lighter color. I'm going to layer it right on top of the orange. On the top of the beak, tip of the beak. All right, and bring some of it into these feathers here. Kind of richen up that color there. Bring it down. we go. All right, one more color. I think I'm just going to use this very dark orange. Well, it's actually like a bright reddish orange almost, I guess. I'm going to bring some of that into here as well, right through the middle. Don't forget, these are feathers, so they can have a little bit of a weird shape. They don't have to be symmetrical. They can just kind of flow outwards from there, okay? Nothing is perfect in nature or in our sketchbooks. I'll put a little bit on the bottom of the detail. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to do this sort of red feature around the eye. I'm still going to use this bright orange for now, and I'm going to use some red. Okay, I'm just going to try and draw. I'm using my imagination to imagine there's a little bit of a stripe around his eye, just to highlight that feature. So I am going to just draw a shape around the eye, just like that. All right? And then I'm going to lightly shade it in. Lightly, lightly, lightly shade it in. And I think that looks pretty cool, so I'm going to go ahead and just darken a little bit around the eye. And then down the middle here. All right, now I'm going to switch to a red pencil. And sharpen it. Just color in around that. Get this dark. There's going to be black feathers around this. So make sure it's dark so it'll be good contrast against the black, okay? I'm just going to come back in with the gold and go right over everything just to make sure there's no white paper left behind there, okay? Cool. Okay, so the next step, I got this fun little trick. I'm not sure that I've talked too much about opposites and how opposite colors can really play well off each other. Regardless, there's a lot of orange already in here. The opposite of orange is blue, so I'm going to use that knowledge to my advantage. Again, you don't have to remember this. There's no test. But I'm going to use some blue before I put in my black feathers, and that'll help sort of make the orange will play off the blue, and we'll get this cool effect. You're going to have to just trust me. But I promise it'll work. So I got dark blue here, and I'm going to just kind of highlight around the edges, all right, right around my outline. Really, that's all I'm going to do there. So I'm just going to draw some blue right around my outline. A little bit of a trick here. And we'll do it over here. And we'll do it over here. We'll do a little bit in there. Do some on the top of the head. That's a little bit. Alright. I'm going to do some at the tip of the wings. This one too. Flippers, rather, sorry. Not really wings anymore. Alright. That's it. You're just going to have to believe me. Believe in yourself that that's going to look cool. You'll find out very soon. Okay, now we can start putting in some black because there's plenty of black in here. Yeah, don't push down too hard. You can always add more. It's hard to take it away. So I'm going to start with the shoulders and I'm going to come down, okay? I'm going to do the face in a little bit more detail, so I'm just going to start off so I can be loose here. Again, not pushing down too hard, not filling it in completely, being kind of loose and sketchy. These are feathers. Leaving a little bit of white there so you can see that feature we drew in earlier. All right, do the same thing over here. I think you might be able to start seeing how that blue is playing off the black there. All right. Again, I'm gonna do some of the black down here, and maybe this guy's got Some coloring coming up the middle, like that, on that one. And it's a little bit darker over here. All right. And this comes down like this. There we go. Oops. Throw that in. All right. Okay. So, like I said, I want to kind of do the face a little bit more carefully than I was able to just fill in those flippers there. Okay. So I want to leave a little bit of light colors behind in order to, you know, make the feathers show up, and then we're going to color those in a little bit with a different color. It has a nice effect. We'll start with the top right out here, right up against the little eye stripe we made. And color this in pretty dark. Go right up against the beak. Okay. Again, we're coming real dark when we're up against that red stripe, okay? And then underneath the beak, let's be a little bit lighter. All right. A little bit lighter. And then we're going to go dark again. Okay. It'll just give us a little opportunity to see some of those feathers kind of shining. Maybe there's a little bit of light catching there. Okay. Looks pretty cool. I'm going to sharpen this sucker up. Okay, so let's get down to the feet, because I want to make sure we hide some of these features and we make this look a little bit more natural than just those triangles, okay? Now, in order to do that, let's just go ahead and lightly shade in pretty much the whole area, very lightly. Very lightly. All right. Even come up a little bit there. All right. And we're going to come in a little bit darker on the leg, leading over to the foot, and then really dark on top of the toes. Okay. Same thing over here. We're going to kind of come in a little bit darker over here, and then on top, and then really dark on top of those toes, okay? Again, these are just sort of suggesting features. We don't have to draw every toe or get too hung up on the anatomy or anything. We're just kind of doing our best to make it believable, and make it look cool, and to do it quickly, and to make sure we have fun and we aren't getting too hung up on tiny little details like toes. Oh, I know. I'm hilarious. All right. Just kind of scribbling them in. Not sweating it too much there. Just going to sharpen this up a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to put the black aside for a little while. I'm probably going to come back to it. Well, not too long, but I'm just going to get a gray. If you don't have a gray, you can continue on with using your black. Just don't be light, you know, use it lightly. Don't bear down too hard. I got this gray here, just a medium gray. I'm just going to use it to draw a little bit of suggestive feathering in here. Just little lines, maybe a little bit of a shadow coming down right there. Just using my imagination to kind of think about where there might be shadows on this guy. Maybe there's some shadowing back here. there. Some shadowy feathers down here. Going in a couple different angles. And we can draw a couple right on top of this coloring here. Alright, maybe there's a couple dark things coming in. You can see a little bit of those little ones. Alright. Alright, looking pretty good. Let's just do one more little trick. One more little trick. I'm going to, I know, crazy, right? I got this turquoise, right? And all these little areas in the black that I left inconsistent on purpose, and I tell you not to bear down too hard. This is why I'm going to actually use this blue now, right in those areas, right over the black, just to give it a little more color, a little hint of color detail in there. Sort of shiny feathers. Might be hard to see on the live video, but if you followed closely along with me, you're probably seeing this cool effect working for you at home. Color right in there. Maybe just leave a little bit of white behind. Yeah, it's pretty neat. You can do it a little bit down here. And maybe there's a little bit of it in there. All right. Okay, super cool. All right, let's see here. I think I can add one more color. It's been a pretty quick drawing, huh? Yeesh. Let's go, I don't know, maybe some purple here. You could just do a little bit of purple feathers. Just a little bit. Because why not? All right, you know what? I think this guy's pretty much done. Pretty much. Looking pretty cool. He's about ready to go catch himself some fish. Cool. All right, well, I suppose that concludes our drawing today. Wah, wah. We went really quickly on this little pink. I'm coloring the claws in a little bit of brown, that's all. We really flew through this guy today, but it was fun. I thought it was fun anyway. He's colorful. You wouldn't think. First thing when you think of a penguin isn't always colorful, but this guy certainly qualifies. He's very colorful. All right, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the drawing today. Don't forget to sign your work. C-H-R-I-S. That's me. Sign your work, hang it on your fridge, enjoy your drawing, enjoy the day. Please, 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 if you did your drawing, upload it to the page so I can see your terrific work, okay? I really, really enjoy seeing that stuff, so if you could, I would really appreciate it. And with that being said, be nice to your parents and they'll be nice to you. Scratch that! Let's be nice to everyone, okay? Everyone we meet and everyone we know. There's no room to be mean, so let's be nice. Okay, everybody? Again, I hope you had fun. I had a blast just using a little bit of brown here to kind of touch up some areas. Always trying to introduce new colors. Love using colors. Okay, everybody, have a super day. Bye!